Every time someone screams Free Palestine, they eventually bring up the Nakba. They will tell you about 750,000 Arabs ethnically cleansed by Jews in 1948. Families forced out, villages destroyed, tragedy eternal. It sounds very convincing, emotional, and heartbreaking. Except it's not the full story. It's a weaponized myth, and it's being used for 75 years to paint Jews as villains and rewrite history. Shalom everyone, I'm Igal and this is Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Let's talk about the refugee story that the world refuses to fact-check and why the truth still matters. Let's start with the Nakba, the so-called catastrophe. The popular version says in 1948, Jews expelled 750,000 Palestinians from their homes. But that's not what happened. Most Arabs didn't flee because Jews drove them out. They left because their own leaders told them to. Arab armies told civilians to clear the battlefield, to get out of the way so that they could drive the Jews into the sea. Arab radio broadcasts urged evacuation, promising everyone could return after Israel's destruction. The Economist wrote it clearly in 1948. There is little doubt that the most potent factor in the flight was the announcement made by the Arab leadership urging Arabs to quit. And Time magazine, the same year, quoted Iraq's Prime Minister Nuri Said, "We will smash the country with our guns and obliterate every place the Jews seek shelter in." He literally told them, "Take your wives and children and leave until we finish killing the Jews." That's not ethnic cleansing, that's a failed invasion. Yes, some expulsions happened during the fighting. War is chaos. But the vast majority? Voluntary flight encouraged by Arab commanders betting on genocide and losing. Now they call it Nakba. But it wasn't a catastrophe. It was the consequence of trying and failing to destroy the newborn Jewish state. Now, here's what no one wants to talk about: the other refugees. The 850,000 Jews expelled from Arab and Muslim countries after 1948. Jews who had lived in Iraq, Egypt, Syria, Yemen, and Libya for centuries. Overnight, they were stripped of citizenship, their homes seized, their synagogues burned. In Iraq, 130,000 Jews had to be airlifted out after public hangings and riots. In Egypt, 25,000 expelled, bank accounts frozen. In Yemen, Operation Magic Carpet rescued 49,000 people from violence. Everywhere, the same story. They lost everything, rebuilt from nothing, and no one called that a Nakba. Israel absorbs them all. No refugee camps, no UN pity fund, no rights of return. They moved on, built houses, learned Hebrew, and became part of Israel's story. Meanwhile, the Arab world kept their refugees in limbo for generations, not to help them, but to use them. That's where the UN comes in. In 1949, the UN created UNRWA, a refugee agency just for Palestinians. And the rules were rigged from day one. To qualify, an Arab only had to live in Palestine for 2 years before 1948. 2 years. That's how hundreds of thousands of recent immigrants, people who'd moved there for jobs under the British mandate, suddenly became Palestine's native population. And here's the twist. UNRWA is the only refugee agency on Earth where refugee status is hereditary. It passes from parents to children forever. That's how 700,000 refugees in 1948 turned into 5.9 million today. Refugee camps that never end because they were never meant to. UNHCR, the global refugee agency, resettles people. UNRWA preserves them. Not as citizens, as weapons. Because without the refugee story, there's no permanent victimhood, no endless blame game, no billions in aid to keep Hamas and the Palestinian Authority afloat. And here's the truth they never say out loud. Most of these families weren't ancient locals. They were economic migrants. The British Mandate reports show 200,000 Arabs moved into Palestine between 1922 and 1944, chasing jobs and opportunities the Jewish development brought. Even Winston Churchill said it. Far from being persecuted, the Arabs have crowded into the country and multiplied. President Roosevelt agreed. Arab immigration into Palestine has vastly exceeded Jewish immigration. So much for indigenous. Here's what all of this boils down to. The Arab world tried to destroy Israel and failed. Then they tried to destroy its reputation and succeeded. The refugee crisis isn't the result of Israeli aggression. It's the result of Arab rejectionism. And the tragedy is that generations of Palestinians are still trapped in that lie. Their leaders won't resettle them, won't integrate them, won't give them citizenship anywhere, because keeping them stateless keeps the hate alive. So next time you hear about the Nakba, remember this. One group lost everything and built a nation. The other lost a war that they started and built a grievance industry. The refugee crisis isn't Israel's shame, it's the Arab world's choice. I'm Igal, and this is Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Don't just share slogans, share facts, because history doesn't change. Only who's honest about it does. Until the next time, Shalom.